Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another SoCal Boxing Report. This episode is brought to you by Quick Stop Tires, with 3 locations to serve you in the city of San Bernardino, with the newest opening in Home Depot Shopping Center on West 21st Street. For more locations and store hours, visit Quick Stop Tires at quickstoptiresSB.com or call 909-883-0001. They offer great service at low prices, with oil changes starting at $29, full brake services starting at $110, and alignment starting at $55. Mention the Southern California Boxing Report and tell them that me, Anna, sent you for an additional 10% discount off of already low prices. I am your host, Anna Aguilar, and I am here with Anthony Zaldana and Chris Beltran. How you doing, guys?
Doing good, doing good.
All right, you guys have a good weekend?
Sure did.
I had an early Thanksgiving dinner yesterday with my family, so I'm done with Thanksgiving for this year for sure.
And I had a amateur boxing show. One of my fighters, shout out to Diego Dominguez. He got the W over there at the South Almani Boxing Club show.
Oh, your mic wasn't on. You want to repeat all that?
Oh, we gotta do it all over again. Well, big shout out to Diego Dominguez. He fought yesterday. He's one of my fighters. He's an amateur. He has 18 amateur fights. Mm-hmm. So big shout out to him. We got the W yesterday over at the South Almani Boxing Show.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, he got a big turkey.
Nice.
Yes.
How about you, Anthony?
It was a good weekend. Was at the Thompson show Friday night.
Nice.
It went really well. We had a lot of boxing this weekend that we need to get into.
Yeah, there was a lot of boxing this weekend, and we had PBC on Bounce last night, PBC on, I think, FS1 Friday.
Right.
Golden Boy fights, and
Carl Frampton fight.
Carl Frampton. You had Kenny Enriquez fighting last night. So there was quite a bit of boxing going on. But we also had some tragedy hit the world of boxing over this past week.
Yes.
And so let's talk about that. Go ahead, Anna. I'll let you.
Yeah. Well, before we go through all of that stuff, before we go through all of our topics for today, we will talk about Rafael Garcia. I think it was on
Tuesday, I believe.
Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
And he
Tuesday.
passed away. He was 88 years old. If he is best known for the cutman of Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather Jr., and the hat with all those pins.
Right.
Yeah, he was a very good guy, godfather to Jesse Vargas as well, and loved by all the boxing community. So it was a big hit for us. It will definitely be missed. Definitely a legendary for sure.
You know, it's really sad about Rafael Garcia. Earlier this year, he was attacked by a swarm of Africanized bees, and he was stung over 100 times. He was hospitalized then. He suffered a heart attack, and then 2 weeks before his death, he was diagnosed with leukemia. So he was really on a downward spiral. It's really tough for Jesse right now. You know, it's tough for the whole boxing community because Rafael was a very, very liked man. He was loved amongst everybody in the boxing community. And besides working with Floyd Mayweather, Rafael also worked with Roberto Duran, Alexis Aguayo, and Wilfredo Gomez, just to name a few. So, you know, it's
a few legends as well as him being a legend himself.
Yeah, so it's very sad that that Rafael's passed away. We also lost Dr. Ferdy Pacheco. Dr. Ferdy Pacheco was the ringside physician for Muhammad Ali. He was also a television commentator on Showtime, NBC, and Univision. He's won multiple Emmy Awards for his commentary of boxing. He left Muhammad Ali in '77. He was Ali's personal doctor and had advised Ali not to fight after he had fought Foreman, and he went on to fight 4 more times after Pacheco left him, and he lost 3 of those 4. And we all know what happened to Ali after that. You know, it was a downward spiral for him as well with the
Parkinson's.
Exactly.
So I hope that everyone can, take a moment, say a little prayer for their families, of course. Going on for our guest today, we have Kalisha West, who is in the studio right now with us. So we'll have her at the next half hour, and Marisela Cornejo, she just fought on Thursday night, and she took another win. So congratulations to Marisela, and she'll be calling us in a few as well. Let's go into our fights, actually. Let's start those out.
Okay, so we'll start off with Friday night at the Doubletree Hotel. Thompson Boxing Promotions is a great promotion company. They've been around for about 20 years out here in the Inland Empire. They have fights at the DoubleTree in Ontario as well as in Corona. And to kick things off that night, we had a kid out of Santa Monica by the name of Ruben Torres. He's 2-0, and he went in against a guy named Alejandro Zepeda in a 4-round bout, and Torres just completely took this guy apart, took Zepeda apart. He knocked him out in the first round, hit him with about 10 or 15 unanswered punches, forcing the referee to come in and stop the fight. He's the real deal, Ruben Torres. He's training out of Legends Boxing Gym.
With Danny Zamora.
Yeah, with Danny Zamora. Yeah, and Zamora's got a good squad. You know, he has Peter Petrov as part of his stable, Michael Dutch over, Ruben Villa, a lot of good amateurs that are training right now with Danny Zamora there. Also on the card, you had a kid out of Indio, California by the name of Manuel Mendez. Now, Mendez was coming off a big knockout loss, and he was going up against Abraham Cordero out of Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. And in Cordero's last fight, he was knocked out by Mike Reed. So, I mean, he's been in there with some good opponents, and him and Mendez went the distance. Cordero was a southpaw, and he continued to smother Mendez throughout the fight. Mendez never really got comfortable. He couldn't get to the outside. Cordero was cutting off the ring, and it went to a decision. It was a hard fight to score. It was an ugly fight, but it went to a decision, and they gave the decision to Cordero. Both fighters left the ring, and about 10 minutes later, they retallied the cards and called the fight a split draw. Wow! So that was something very interesting there. You know, I had never seen that. You know, I've seen them retally scorecards, but not 10 minutes after the fight.
That's so funny. You never get surprised on what happens in any show, amateur shows.
Nothing surprises me
anymore. 10
The-
minutes is crazy.
The DoubleTree for Thompson Boxing, they always have some good shows.
Yeah.
And if you guys are over there, make sure you see Anthony. He's always there, covering for Supreme Boxing.
I really like the Thompson. You get a bang for your buck. Really, I mean, it's
definitely
it's a good family show. You go in there. I mean, you get good entertainment as far as the boxing is. And in the main event, you had the new WBO NABO welterweight champion Giovanni Santillan out of San Diego, who was taking on this guy named Dodzi Kama from
Ghana.
From Ghana. Yeah, it was his first time fighting in the United States, and there wasn't really much known about this fighter. So with that being said, you don't know if you're going to get a very good fighter coming out of Ghana, somebody like Anait Corte or Nazuma Nelson, or what you're going to get.
Because Ghana always bring good fighters out.
They
And
do.
then you look at his record, probably from there, but 13, 2, and with 12 knockouts. So he's lost twice, and he has 12 knockouts. So it makes you look like, or you perceive him as a puncher.
Yeah, on paper, he was a banger. Like you said, 13 wins with 12 knockouts. So I wasn't really, I didn't know what to expect. But Santillan went in there, and he took care of business. He controlled the bout from the opening bell. He landed precise combinations in the early rounds. He stuck his jab. And then in the fourth round, he hurt him with several shots.
Right.
My wife was shooting ringside in one of the corners in the opposite corner, and Camille walked over to the corner and asked, why did they move my corner? So when they went back, the referee, Raul Caiz Jr., went over to the ringside physician to have him come in and check on Kamea, and they called the fight after the fourth round. Yeah, his eyes were gone.
Right.
He wasn't in the fight. He didn't know where he was. And you know what? That was like they say, you live to fight another day. And in boxing, that's how it is. You don't want to see anybody hurt. We've seen what has happened with fighters like Daniel Franco.
You're right. Twitch took some punishment by Chris Martin.
Yeah.
And then fought again in Mexico. Then fought again, and then ended up having brain surgery. So yeah, you gotta be real careful.
You never want to see a fighter hurt in the ring, and it was for the best that the ringside physician called it off. I know his camp and his team was very upset about the fight being called off, but you got to look at the health and safety of the fighter.
You got to lean towards safety all the time. I mean, I think that's the most important thing. As the coaches and as the physicians and everybody involved in governing the fights.
Exactly. And then...
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, moving on. We had some good fights in England. And actually, they were in Belfast, not in England. They were in Belfast. They were headlined by Carl Frampton taking on Horacio Garcia. But on that card, you had the WBO World Bantamweight Champion Zolani Lasborn Tete, and this guy he's a very slick fighter. He puts together big combinations. Well, what he did is he went in there and
We
he
didn't even
knocked.
get to see any of that.
No, you didn't. Yeah, we didn't get to see his talent because he went in there and he knocked this guy out in 8 seconds with one punch. I mean, it was the fastest knockout in world championship history. In any fight, 8 seconds. Guy went in, threw one punch, knocked him out.
He's in the record books.
After the fight, his opponent.
Easy money.
yeah. After his fight, his opponent, they had to give him oxygen because he actually
Wow.
stopped breathing. So they were giving him oxygen,
Wow.
to wake him up. And he's a tough fighter. His last fight, he fought Arthur Villanueva from the Philippines, who recently lost by TKO in Tijuana to Luis Neri. So that they can bang. Hopefully, we'll see him in the United States soon. Like I
I'd love
said,
to see that guy in the United States.
he is the
soil.
WBO World Bantamweight Champion. So maybe we will be able to see him.
That was a vicious right hook he threw.
Yeah.
Vicious.
And in the main event, you had the contender, the featherweight contender, Carl Frampton.
Former champion.
The former champion. He had 2 good bouts with Leo Santa Cruz. They were in front of 10,000 people there at the SEC Arena in Belfast. And he was in a tough fight from the
Right.
get-go. He controlled much of the early rounds, but then in the 7th, Horacio Garcia caught him with the right hook. He actually was slipping, and Horacio caught the hook when he was on his way down from the slip. It was called the knockdown.
Right.
And then after the 7th round, he continued to hold. He held in the 8th. He held in the 9th. And the 10th round, he was making it an ugly fight, and Garcia really couldn't free himself from all that holding. Garcia trapped him on the ropes again in the 9th, and tried to push forward. But because it was a non-title fight, it was only 10 rounds.
Right.
I think if it would have went 12, Horacio Garcia might have pulled it off. But then again, he's fighting across the pond. So what happens is they go to the scorecards, and Frampton just demolishes him on the scorecards. 98-93, 97-93, 96-93. Even being knocked down, they still have the scores that wide over there in England.
And you would think, it'd be closer. Come on. It was a tough fight. Anybody that was there watching it knew it was a tough fight. Frampton, to me, edged out the fight. But like you said, if it would have been 10, if it would have went 12, then we would be talking. We'd have a whole different narrative.
Exactly. So it's gonna be interesting to see where Frampton goes from here, because the springtime pretty much has Abner Mars locked up with Leo Santa Cruz. The other 2 top fighters in England, Josh Warrington and Lee Selby, also got fights locked up for the spring. So we'll see where
Frampton fits in.
Frampton goes from here. Yeah.
And then while you were over there at Thompson, I was watching the PBC fights on Friday night, and Anthony Durrell versus Dennis Duggan was the main event for that card. But Ryan Cowboy Carl, he won a unanimous decision against Kareem Martin that night. So that was a scheduled 8-rounder, and congratulations to him. And Jamonte Clark versus Dominique Dalton, that was the co-main event, and Jamonte Clark took the win on that one. But for the main event, Anthony Durrell and Dennis Duggan, that one was a little, I feel that it was somewhat of aggression, because I know that there was some mad talk between both of them. And at the end of the first round, Durrell actually got Duggan with a right hand upstairs, and then he stunned Am I saying his name?
Duggan, yeah.
Duggan's, he stunned him at the end, and then the bow, ended.
Right.
And then, of course,
The
there
only
was
impressive thing about Duggan was his nickname, Mama's Boy.
I really like that his mom trains him, though. She's,
Right.
Give it up for that. Women in boxing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he got cut on, what was it?
Right underneath the eye, on the top of his eye, right underneath. He had got cut, and it was going in his eye, Anthony Durrell.
Yeah, it was in the 6th round,
in
right?
the 6th round.
He kept blinking, so the doctor went ahead and they took it to the scorecard.
Yeah, they stopped it and went to the scorecards.
And then he took a win on that one. But on last night with PBC, I felt it was Julian Williams versus Ishe Smith, and I honestly felt that Julian could have done a little bit more with Ishe,
Right.
because it's just he made it a little bit more tough on him. But I felt like if he would have let go a little bit more, he might have just probably may have stopped him a little, because he kind of had him.
He had him hurt a few times.
Yeah.
The problem is Ishe kept throwing punches, and Ishe was using his punches as defense. He threw a lot of combinations.
Yeah, but J-Rock was also blocking those.
Right. No, I'm just saying that's why he wasn't able to get off and get get more punches in where he could probably have hurt him or stopped him. It was Ishai's more of his persistence and combination punching that kind of, I think, thwarted a little bit of what Julian Williams was doing.
And there was a lot of cuts on that that fight as well, and Ishii was the one that was suffering them all because of the accidental headbutts. But J-Rock ended up winning that fight unanimously. It was 98, 91, I think 98, 92, and 97, 93. So it was a bit of a close fight, but like I said, I felt like J-Rock could have did a little bit more. Exactly, yeah.
I would say the same thing about Anthony Durrell's fight. It was kind of sloppy. Yeah. Anthony has a lot of boxing skill, but yeah, he's overthrowing punches. He looked like he he was looking for one punch instead of trying to box. And
exactly. He should have did a little bit more combinations.
Right.
For sure.
Use his jab a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, Juan West just walked into the house.
Juan West in the building.
But I feel like the only thing that was probably really worthwhile in that Durrell fight was when Douglas' mom was kind of getting called out by the crowd, and she was trying to avoid that, and then Durrell brought her up to the ring, and then embraced her, and then kind of squashed between whatever happened with Durrell and Douglas for sure.
Yeah, they ended up giving each other hugs at the end of the fight, which is to me customary, should be done. People gotta have sportsmanship in boxing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And it's not a street fight.
That was great. You wanna build up the fight with some trash talk. Fine, that's okay. But at the end of the day, when you guys embrace, that's what makes it more respectful for sure.
Thursday night we had fights as well. We had the Golden Boy card, and it was the first time that Golden Boy had linked up with Cancun Boxing. They initiated their new partnership, and in the main event you had Jose Martinez. He's an undefeated super flyweight fighter, 20-0 with 13 knockouts, taking on Jesus Martinez. On that card, you also had Alexis Rocha, Virgil Ortiz, and Marty Cornejo fighting. A little bit about Ortiz. We'll go into Virgil Ortiz. He's a fighter out of Texas who's 8-0 with 8 KOs, and he opened it up, and he got a first-round knockout against Evandro Calavero from Brazil, and they actually went to a replay. And they looked at the replay because Calavero was hit in the back of the head, and they were going to call it a draw, a technical draw, because he couldn't continue after getting hit in the back of the head. They went to replay. They showed that it wasn't a hit in the back of the head, and they ended up giving Virgil Ortiz the TKO. So I think that the WBC being there and having their commission there is they're really moving forward with looking at this instant replay, and I think that's something that fight fans and media is going to be looking forward to in 2018 is the use of replay in boxing.
I think it's great for boxing.
Yeah. It should actually come into play for sure.
Also on that card, you had Alexis Rocha, who's 10-0 with 7 KOs. He fights out of Santa Ana, and Alexis Rocha is the younger brother of bantamweight contender Ronnie Rios. He went in against a kid from Colombia named Pascual Salgado. It was a scheduled 8-round welterweight fight. He did what he had to do. He landed shots early and often. Salgado went to his knees, and it was an early stoppage.
Yeah, left hook to the liver took him down.
Yeah, I think it was a minute at the minute 46 mark of the first round that Rocha got the KO. And Rocha is another impressive young fighter out of the Golden Boy stable.
Right, I seen him at TKO boxing, sparring, and he's a talent, another talent.
Definitely, I've seen him at the Belasco Theater before. He's good. I like him a lot.
Yeah. It's a funny story about Alexis is I think at 13 years old he was like 180 or 190 pounds, and he was just this little chunky kid, and he started training with Ronnie, and within a year he had lost like 60 or 70 pounds and decided he wanted to start boxing. So now he's at about 147, and he's a threat because he's a big welterweight.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys have seen Alexis, but he's a big kid. He's a strong guy, and with the stable that Golden Boy has, with all these prospects they have coming up, and including their new contract, which is going to run about 32 events on ESPN, a lot of these prospects are going to get TV time.
Oh yeah, they're going to get a chance,
and they're going to become household names
to shine.
Yeah. In the main event, you had, like I said, Jose Martinez taking on Jesus Martinez. That was a good fight. It went back and forth, but Jose Martinez caught his opponent with a left hook to the liver, dropped him, hurt his opponent, and as fighters know and as people in media know that you get a delayed reaction with that body shot.
Yep.
And it was kind of a delayed reaction. It hit him about 2 seconds later. And he went down and was unable to recover from the fight. It was officially stopped at the 19-second mark of the 4th round. Before that, he was dropped 2 more times in the 3rd round. But it was a good fight for Jose Martinez. And it was a good initial, but it was a good initial broadcast between Golden Boy and Cancun Boxing.
Right.
Cancun Boxing has a lot of fighters coming up. Mari Cornejo was actually signed by and co-promoted by Cancun Boxing, and on Wednesday afternoon she was signed to Golden Boy. So she's become the 2nd fighter now signed by Golden Boy.
Second female fighter.
Second female fighter. Thank you. Second female fighter signed by Golden Boy. So it looks like Oscar De La Hoya and Eric Gomez and the team over at Golden Boy are really starting to keep their eye on these female fighters. And that's what we have. You know, we're waiting for Madi to call in. We do have another female fighter here, the first champion from the Inland Empire sitting in with us. You know, Madi was involved in that card. She fought a very tough fight against a girl named, I want to say Iris Hernandez.
Yeah.
From
I'm looking at the same thing. Saying
yeah,
I think it's Iris.
yeah, Hernandez from Tijuana, Mexico, and it was a tough fight.
It was a definitely
Yeah,
tough fight for her.
she only had 2 fights, Iris, but she came there not to lose.
Oh, she came in there throwing. she was definitely putting some pressure on Madi for sure.
You know, I talked to Nancy Rodriguez, who's the manager of Mari Cornejo, and they had a choice of opponents. And the reason they went with this Hernandez girl is because of her amateur background. She's a tough fighter, and I think it's going to be a good learning experience for Madi, because if Madi takes that next step and fights somebody like Clarissa Shields, and there's been plenty of talk about that, she's going to have to box from the outside. She's going to have to use that counterpunch and use her jab and
her height.
and her height to stay away from somebody like Shields, because this girl Hernandez came in and she was throwing a lot of punches from the inside, but it seemed like a lot of them were like little pitter-patter punches.
Right.
But she was cutting off the ring. Madi did get a lot of clean, effective shots from the outside, and it was a split decision. You know, 2 of the judges had it 58-56 in favor of Cornejo, while one of the other judges had it 59-55 in favor of Hernandez, which I watched the fight. It was a 6-round fight. I didn't see Hernandez beating Cornejo 5 out of the 6 rounds. So, you know, it is what it is when you're in Mexico. You know, when you're fighting somebody from Mexico, you know, it's tough.
Well, we actually have Madi online, so let's bring her on, and we'll ask her some questions and congratulate her.
Madi in the house.
Madi, you there with us?
Hey, Madi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're good. Congratulations on your win and your signage with Golden Boy.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on today.
Thank you for calling in. So we were just talking about your fight with Hernandez, and, you know, it seemed to be a very tough fight. You did come away with the victory, so congratulations on that. But tell us a little bit about what you knew about Hernandez coming into the fight.
I knew nothing. Like, we found out about her, well, at least I don't know what, you know, like my trainer and Nancy or any other, the matchmaker who got it, I don't know what they knew, but I tried to look her up or anything like that, or try to see like her style, but I couldn't find anything. And then the day of my weigh-in, like maybe I think it was like a few minutes after I got off the scale, I find out her amateur experience, and I was like, okay, cool. You know, I had told the matchmaker, I was like, that's awesome to know, because I want it to be you know, I want it to be a competitive fight. I want to be able to come out of this fight with the learning something, and I need someone to push me and to possibly expose some of the things that I need to continue to work on. And I loved everything about the fight, and I learned so much about it, and I learned also not to allow it to get that close. Just, you know, for my own, not my own safety, I guess, or my own sanity, or just to know
where you stand right now.
Or even for the fans also. Just, if you don't want to be disappointed, don't leave it up to the judges. So
Definitely.
It was a great learning experience for me.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. Especially in another country, you got home judges, and sometimes those fighters get those hometown scores, and you know, it is a big learning experience, especially fighting somebody like Hernandez, because she may have the same style as Clarissa coming in, a possible matchup for you in 2018 with Clarissa Shields. And it's a good learning experience for you. You know, you have the height, you have the reach, and all you can do is just move forward from here, you know, and it was a good fight.
Marty, you're training now in India with Joel Diaz. What have you been learning from him that, you know, is helping your boxing career?
A lot of this, truly, this sparring, the whole camp, the sparring everything was great. I know I had given so much more in the sparring, and I had given myself fully. And but truthfully, what I lack is that, you know, all the other boxers out there, all the female boxers out there, and now the ones that I'm going to be facing, I lack the experience that they have, and that's all going to come with time. I mean, everything is there, everything is coming together great, and it's just the experience. And I mean, that you can't hurry that up. You can't learn that any quicker than just getting in the ring every time, and, you know, coming out there and coming out with a learning experience. And but I think I've done pretty well so far, and I know I'll continue to improve. And with Joel in my corner and Tonio as well, and then with the experience, we're going to be just fine. And I'm very confident in my team and my ability as well.
And you officially signed with Golden Boy Promotions out in Cancun the day before your fight. So talk to us a little bit about that and what led to getting you signed with the Golden Boy.
Repeat that again. I can't hear you guys. I'm having a hard time. You guys, it's like far away. Oh,
sorry.
Sorry.
Talk about Golden Boy Promotions and how it came about for you to be signed with them.
It was in the works for months, really. They were working on it. Okay. It was in the months for a very long time, and I found out. Well, Nancy, you know, the deal was done the night of Canelo, or the night, the night of Canelo Triple G fight, and we were very excited. And then we were just going back and forth with the contract, and it took, you know, that like a month or two to finalize everything. And then but it was all a process, and Nancy worked extremely hard with it, with the Golden Boy team, Robert Diaz and Bernard Hopkins, truly, and it was done, and it was a dream come true, because that's exactly what I had envisioned when I first stepped into the gym 6 years ago at Wildcard Boxing, and I had met Oscar. So everything's just coming full circle, and you know, the hard work just pays off. Anything is possible, and that's the beauty of my journey so far, is I'm going to be able to inspire so many other girls, you know, or kids. Just work hard, stay in your lane, work hard, keep your head down, stay humble, be a good person, and your talent will be seen. And there's nothing like hard work.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, congratulations again, and you know, you're gonna have to come in and stop by the studio sometime with us, Madi, and we appreciate you calling in today.
I would love to, and thank you so much again. You guys have a good day, and happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Enjoy with your family. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Madi. Bye-bye.
Before we move on to Kalisha West and bring her and her father, Juan West, onto the show, I wanted to talk about a movie premiere that's the whole SoCal boxing crew and our entourage that's here will be joining. We'll be there at today at 4 p.m. at the California Theater in San Bernardino. The movie is a screening for a movie called Court of Appeals, and it's about a wrongfully convicted police officer who went through the appeal process and won. And director Pete Bollinger is allowing donations to be collected for boxers attending Utah competition. The organization project the Fighting Chance has 3 amateurs attending, which we did want the amateurs to come in today, but they had to, you know, hang out with their family. But we do have a special amateur fighter here today. He is one of our fighters from Against the Ropes Boxing Gym in Rialto, California. Robert Aguilar, 17-year-old from Fontana, California. So Make sure his mic is on before we say hello. Hey, Robert. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Just blessed, to be here.
Just make sure you come a little closer to the mic. But talk to us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been fighting amateurly?
I've been an amateur boxer since the age of, I want to say 12, 13. Been in competition. Just love what I do. I've won nationals 2 times, states
Yay.
twice, and it's just time to keep on going.
What's your amateur record?
I have 11 belts right now with 10 victories and just one loss. And
Just one blemish, huh?
Yeah, one blemish.
Just
It's okay,
one
it's a
little
learning lesson.
one little mistake, but it's all good. It's a learning process.
What are the belts that you won?
I have won the national pals twice. I have the diamond belt, which is also known as the sapphire belt. Won that one twice, and now it's I'm gonna be competing in the Golden Gloves, March or April, one of those, and it's time to bring that belt home.
The ATR, huh?
Yeah, ATR.
So to segue into that,
Uh-huh.
how do you like training over there at Against the Ropes?
At Against the Ropes, it's actually a good environment right there. Many good coaches. We have Paul Banky there, which is a world champion, and I also have my coach Steve, and it's good, man. It's a learning process there. They just help with everything, man. It's a environment that
Family
yeah, it's a family in there, man.
Definitely a
and they bring
family.
a lot of good work, and they push you, man. There are no limits in this sport, man.
Shout out to JC for bringing all that good sparring.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
Speaking
JC,
about
man.
sparring, you were sparring with Manny Flores, and he's one of the fighters coming out of Coachella Valley. And he's a pro now. He's about 2-0,
Yeah.
2 knockouts. And you guys used to go back. You guys knew each other from back in the day. So
Yeah,
what is
man.
that? I mean, he's really good. If anyone's not seen Manny Flores, you should actually take a look at him now. But he's really good, and
Yeah.
he's been putting some work on Robert.
Yeah.
Learning something.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Well, yeah, me and Manuel, we've been real good friends. He was actually one of my first sparring partners ever. I was also his, and we started over there at the Diaz training camp in Indio, and everything eventually turns into we go our different routes. But he's a real good boxer. He could brawl. He just has very good potential in the ring, man, and he's a smart fighter.
All right. Well,
Got good experience as well.
Yeah.
He's a lefty,
Yeah, southpaw.
so he's tricky.
Mhm.
oh yeah.
He actually
that's
can box
working
a
with-
little bit.
Yeah, he
Good,
can.
good.
For a lefty.
Yeah.
He doesn't just bang. I was with him his last fight over in San Felipe,
Uh-huh.
and I worked the corner for him, and he impressed me.
Yeah,
Impressed me.
he's training with Bobby Lee, who has Brandon Lee
Brandon,
out
yes,
there,
sir.
father of
Shout
Brandon
out to
Lee.
Bobby and Brandon.
Yeah, and hey, they've been coming weekly to come and spar with our guys at ATR. So hopefully we keep that going.
Yeah, yeah. He had a very impressive first round knockout over there in San Felipe. Man, it was a good fight,
Yeah,
or it could have been.
it was a quick fight.
Yeah, quick fight, man.
I had my pro was on that card as well. So Israel Marcado was on that card with
Manuel.
Manuel, yes sir.
Thank you, Robert, for stopping by.
Yeah.
We love to see your career fly. So tell the boxing fans where they can start watching you on your social media or something.
On my social media, my Instagram, it's at Fetty Boy, and I post a lot of stuff on there. It just it's a little thing just to put it out there, but my plan is to become a professional boxer and one day also become a world champion, and I just gotta stay with a solid mindset, and anything can happen, man.
Yep,
By the
stay
grace of
focused
God,
in the
man.
gym. As long as you stay focused in the gym, anything's possible.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, while we switch places with you and Kalisha, you guys, if you guys are listening in, please stream onto Facebook, Supreme Boxing's Facebook. We're there live as well, and then you can stream on KCAA. And then also, if you guys want to call in and talk with Kalisha or any of us or Juan West, you can call in at 909-792-5222. Kalisha West is the first boxer, male or female, coming out of the Inland Empire to be a world champion. So Holla. She has a record right now of 17, 2 losses, 3 draws, 4 knockouts, and 29-year-old bantamweight.
And this lady can box.
Oh yeah, former world champion.
It's really only one loss. There's only one legitimate
Yeah.
loss, and I avenged that one. The other one, they wrote it wrong on the piece of paper.
Oh, you
and
better
then
tell them something.
Whatever happened. So we were in another country. That's what happened. We were in
Oh,
Canada.
so that's what
So
it is.
we're gonna blame Canada on that one.
Canada.
That's right. So
Canada. No.
you took that L in 2014, and then you took a layoff. Tell us a little bit about that layoff. About what happened there.
Well,
She looks at her
You gonna
dad.
go? You gonna go?
Oh, he has.
Am I gonna go?
He's gonna have the answer.
I can explain a little.
See what happened
It's
was.
discouraging to
Rated
take a
G
loss. It's discouraging to take a loss like that. Okay, behind the scenes, people don't know what happens or what goes on. We went over there to fight a girl from the Dominican Republic. The same day they switched
Change opponents. Yep.
and they bring in their
That old chestnut.
their national star or who they want to try to build up over there. And we found out after we're there that we're not in the American side of Canada, we're in the French side of Canada, so there's no English speaking people there. So it was really a bad vibe, bad setup. And
no, what happened was we were contacted before to fight about 7 months before the fight, and I told my dad, I was like, look, I'm not gonna go to Canada unless I fight someone else from another country. I'm not gonna fight a Canadian in Canada. That's exactly what I said. So he was like, oh no, don't worry about it. We've got someone from another country. Oh yeah, it's gonna be neutral grounds. And I was like, okay, cool. You're the main event. They just want to bring you out there. I was like, let's do it for the experience. And then what was it, like a week, not the day before, it was like a week or two before, they pull Olivia. And Olivia, by all means, she's fought everybody. Knocked out Mia St. John, beat world champions. And this girl's way bigger than me. I'm usually 118. She's beating girls 145. She's a battle axe. Her record's not one of the prettiest, but that's because she never turned down a fight. Yeah. She's usually that underdog that would end up winning.
Three-time WBC light.
Yeah,
champ.
3-time
People
WBC
gotta
champion.
realize that.
And I was like, but we don't back down. I don't want to pull out of a fight. We just don't say no to fights. So
Right.
even though she was from Canada, we were just like, let's just do it.
The oddest part about this fight, it was her easiest fight of her career.
Yeah, it was,
So,
but I was real sick
explain
too.
the L.
I had a root canal. So I don't like to make excuses, and I've never told anyone what happened during the fight.
Yeah.
We lost a family member very close to us. My dad traveled for the funeral all the way to Michigan. There's a lot going on in the training camp. And 2 weeks prior, it was more so of like a mourning. Like we weren't really into it like we usually are. We're usually on the same page with the battle plan and everything else. I had personal health situation going on, having to take painkillers for that. So even though when I fought the fight, I knocked her down the first round, which they don't have that part on YouTube. I don't know what happened to that part of the fight.
Let's edit that one out and put it there.
Yeah, can we Photoshop that part? Because they didn't put it in there. And then we went the distance. The commentators, people thought I won. They gave me, what was it? They gave me 4 out of, they gave her 3 or no 2. They gave her 2 rounds, and a lot of people thought I won the fight. I felt like I could have did way better, and
But you had issues going on at the time.
I did, but
And the fact that
Yeah.
they switch everything.
they switched everything.
Yeah.
And what was the funniest thing to me, and this is so funny, when we were just coming out, they were like, the champ's gonna come out first, Kalisha Wild Wild West, yeah, bring her out first. And then all of a sudden, some commissioner runs up, no, she's not from Canada. She don't come out first. And I was like, calm down, it's just to come out. So then they had Olivia come over me. I mean, they had me come over Olivia as if I were the one,
You were
as
the
the
opponent.
contender. I was the opponent.
Yeah.
And then they brought her out like she was the champ. It was just weird.
Well, moving
real
forward,
weird.
you just recently got a win.
I
So,
did.
hey.
It took a long time for me to make that decision
Yeah,
to come back.
She made up her mind that, we're going to try to,
Go into the mic a little bit. Sorry.
we're going to try to, finish up the career with a grand finale, and some wins. And, working with promoters is very difficult, especially when you're not signed by a promoter, especially for a female.
Yeah.
And
Even when you're
so-
signed, it's difficult.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Female
It's-
boxing in general is
it's
a bit
getting,
difficult.
it's improving, but there's a small pool of females that are out there and that are willing to fight each other. So it's a task that's very difficult.
Everybody's afraid to get that L.
Right.
Right. So no one really wants to take the chances that they actually should.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But the chances, for the men, are brought with money.
With money.
And girls,
not for the women.
For the women, they want them to risk it all for nothing. And then it's like, what do you get? You get nothing, because you got girls that do have common sense.
Definitely.
Okay.
To let the fans know who Kalisha West is, she was a 2002 and a 2003 Junior Olympic champion. In 2003 and 2004, she also won the Silver Gloves. And in 2002, she was a National Golden Gloves champion. She's a very highly decorated amateur fighter. In 2010, she became the WBO bantamweight champion on the undercard of the Shane Mosley Mora. Is that correct? It was Shane Mosley Mora, right? At the Staples Center. So you were actually one of the first females to be part of the Golden Boy, part of a Golden Boy card. And you came away with the championship, becoming the first champion, male or female, from the Inland Empire. Wow, that's pretty awesome there. I know the Inland Empire has produced a couple of champions. I know you and Cindy Amador as far as female champions go, but do you think you're going to take that next step and try to go for another championship belt, another championship run?
He knows I want the WBC belt. However,
everybody wants that
I want
WBC
the green
belt.
belt. I do.
Yeah.
That was why I decided, hey, let's do this again, because I want to win the green belt.
Yeah. That was the goal.
Yeah, that was the goal. And then me winning my last fight against a girl who, she was tough. She was a lefty. We didn't think we were going to take that tough of a fight, my first fight back. But that put me back in the opportunity to fight for the green belt. So to be perfectly honest with you, another knock off the rust fight, another tune-up, that's out of the question. Show me a big money fight. Show me a big opponent. Show me somebody in the spotlight, because I'm not exactly in the spotlight where I used to be right now.
Yeah.
I'm coming back. So there's a lot of other girls who are, show me the green belt, and then let's talk business. It's that simple. That's all I really want to see next. Yeah.
Well, who was your toughest opponent in your whole career that you can say you had to dig deep for that one?
I fought a lot of tough girls. I did. I fought a lot of girls.
Anyone in particular that just stands out?
Yeah.
Just like your dad's hat says, you're battle tested.
Battle test.
Believe
I like
it or
that
not,
hat. Can you give me one?
Believe it or not, there's a lot of tough people that I fought that gave me a hard time. But one of the toughest girls that I fought, and this surprises everyone, is because she hits like a brick. Oh my goodness, she had like Mike Tyson power. That's Jessica Villafranca. She was, they call her Killer Doll in Mexico. And I'll tell you what was so great about this fight is in the first couple rounds, she was bringing me hell, and I did not expect this type of a fight. She was younger than me. She was hungry to take my title. It was in Mexico. She was Mexican. So she had her Mexican flag, getting the crowd going. And when I went in there, they all say when you get hit, everything changes, right?
Yep.
How does that saying go?
Everybody has a plan until they get hit.
Right? I had a plan. I got hit. And then I went back.
She's heavy-handed.
She was heavy-handed. And I went back to my corner, and I was just like, I saw a ghost. And then I'll never forget what happened. My dad told me it was like a fourth round. He goes, Kalisha, I think you even slapped me. He goes, Kalisha, what the hell are you doing? She is a C+, and you're an A+ fighter, and you brought yourself down to a C+ fighter, and you need to get back to being an A+ fighter. You got this fight. And he just pumped me up, and I remember just, I got this. And I went down there and went in the next round, and I went to the body and then to the head. So I started to the body, then to the head, and I remember I busted her nose.
Yeah, broken nose.
And her nose is blood everywhere. And then, because I look at my opponents, it's all mental. I looked at her in her corner, and she was going,
it turned her whole fight around.
And it turned
just
the
scraping
whole
at the
fight.
nose. Yeah.
It got to her head. Her nose got to her head. She kept going.
Kept touching her nose.
Touching her nose.
Yep.
Even during the fight, she was touching her nose, and I was just, my turn.
Yeah.
And I won the fight. I won the fight, yeah.
Yeah, dominated.
It was a real good fight.
She dominated the rest of the fight.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
That
So that was one of my toughest fights.
Juan, I know in the beginning when Kalisha wanted to start fighting, you didn't want her to fight at all. What made you change your mind to be like, all right, let's do it. I'm gonna train you, and let's go pro.
Kalisha, we're like twins. She was a daddy's girl, and the thing about me picturing her box, I just couldn't picture her getting in the ring fighting. Although, she after my fights, she'd be in the background. Of every fight, and then in the crowd, the loudest voice I could hear in the crowd was Kalisha. She was my biggest fan. She was rooting me on, and when she first started boxing or wanted to box, I said, no, Kalisha, because I was old school. I had that mentality. Women don't box.
Right.
This is 20 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
I said,
Well, hey,
there's no
20 years
opportunity
ago,
for it.
well, no, Christy Martin was. Yeah, Christy Martin. They were
She
kind
was-
of girls were boxing.
Yeah, in the pros. I didn't see
in the
any in
amateurs,
the
okay.
amateurs. You
Well,
know,
hey.
there were none
No,
in the
not
amateurs.
like
In
that.
Yeah, not like
1998,
now, definitely.
1998, they finally opened the doors for the women in the amateurs and was allowing them to box. So
Yeah.
I was explaining to her, you go to these shows as a male, as an amateur male, you never saw women
No.
in out there, gloving up, getting ready. It's a totally different scene now.
As a matter of fact, I remember always winning state, and then when it was time for nationals, it's like, oh no, she can't go, and I would say, why? And they're like, she's a girl. They didn't even let us
She's
go to
got
nationals
boobs.
half the time.
Yeah,
It was just so new.
she couldn't
Yeah.
advance,
It's so
so it wasn't there for USA boxing, but it finally, the doors opened
Took
up for
off.
women.
Oh yeah.
But
well,
yeah,
now it is. so.
I didn't, I couldn't picture her boxing. And so when she did, when I did finally decide to give in to her,
She was relentless, I guess,
Yeah,
I
I
bet.
treated
Daddy
it like it
pleases
was
had to
just
stop.
a joke, or I treated it like it was just gonna be a phase.
She about to get beat up.
She gonna get hit, and when she get
She'll
hit,
quit.
she's gonna realize that she don't want to do boxing. So,
But that didn't go to plan.
Yeah, I even kind of mismatched her for her first fight. Just went in there and said, let this girl give her a spanking.
Tell them the weight difference. I was
Yeah.
92 pounds. She was 106.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
savage.
That's like a
Yeah,
little tiny girl.
and
I felt
I'm
bad for
chuckling
me.
in the background because she's bouncing off the ropes. I know she can't handle it.
I
but
got
it-
2 A counts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those are the
It
only
was-
A counts I've ever gotten.
Ever in her life, those are the only 8 counts
Yeah,
she ever
I've
received.
never got one ever. after
But
that.
she's stubborn. She's championship stubborn because to be a champion, you have to be stubborn. And she's championship stubborn. And after the fight, I asked her, I said, Kalisha, what was you saying to that girl?
I was yelling at her.
And because she's over there, over there.
I was only 11 years old.
And yeah, and she said, I'll tell her I want a rematch. I said, what? After that butt whooping, you want a rematch? And so,
So she was a chip off the old block like
yeah,
her dad.
so
Those weren't real A counts. She pushed me.
yeah, but in the fight game, when you lose, or when a fighter lose, that's the first thing running through his mind. I want a rematch, man. I didn't lose. I can't lose. And once I saw that attitude,
that determination.
yeah, that determination was in her blood. I knew I had a champion, future
O-
champion.
Okay, so what's next for you guys? What's next for you, Juan, and for Kalisha?
Well, Kalisha's okay. Unfortunately for the females and the women, life is what's next. Okay, so she,
No.
Kalisha's, as far as boxing,
As far as
the
boxing,
the game plan is in the next 6 to 7 months to get back in the ring. That's the game plan because, she's living life and she has another opportunity to become a police officer, and that opportunity is life changing for her because and for me, because I do want security for my daughter, financial security for my daughter, and then she can enjoy her passion, her boxing, and I know the pot of female boxing is stirring. The names are coming to the top. They're being televised. I know this. I see this every day. So we're just waiting for an opportunity to hear a phone call that says, hey, you want to fight so-and-so Olympic champion so-and-so? Or you want to fight so-and-so killer so-and-so? And Kalisha is,
Killer dolls.
well, yeah, we'll get in that gym when the money's right and do the fight, It's the
Even
same way.
American television, though.
Yeah.
I've never had an opportunity to fight on American television ever. I've always
Yeah.
fought in Fox Deportes.
She's fought abroad in Europe on
Yeah.
television, national television. She's fought in Mexico on national
Fought abroad. Abroad.
Well, now,
Abroad.
now,
You
now
said
we're
I
seeing
fought
the female
abroad.
fighters, PBC and ESPN.
Come on now.
Sounded bad.
The female fighters are definitely coming to American TV, so
Over
you'll
there.
get your chance,
Is that better?
Kalisha.
I just want to
Across the
correct that.
pond.
Yeah, she
I just want
fought
to make
over
that
there.
clear. I just want to make that clear.
Over there.
Gotta fix
Is that better?
Yeah.
And there's actually one amateur girl. Her name is Heaven Garcia. She's from El Monte, California. I think she fights out of the Teamsters. So I want to give her a shout out because she's actually in India right now, and she's competing for the USA boxing team. So
Awesome.
congratulations, Heaven, and we hope to see you more and more, and hopefully in the Olympics for the girls the next time.
Is there any fighters right now that you're looking forward to fighting, or anybody that you want to call out, or anybody that you want to step in the ring with right now?
Make the list. Make the list right now.
I'm gonna let her do that because Daddy wanted to fight everybody. But I'm gonna let her do that.
You know, I feel goodness. I don't even know how to say this because I feel bad. There's some names that are out there that are my weight, 122, and they're not like they. I would
Just
like
tell
this
them.
fight
Tell us.
real
Speak
fast.
on it. Let's go.
Spit it out. Come on.
I think I'd
Make
be
your
a great
Christmas
test
list.
fight, but at the same time, it's like,
Look at the top 7 in the 122-pound ranking, and we don't have to say no names.
who's the top 7?
Any of them.
You gotta let
I
know.
really don't know. Who
I don't
the
even
top
know the
7
I don't
is.
even know the names, but you know,
I really
the
don't.
rankings are incorrect. The stars are incorrect. Okay, it's all
Because
wrong.
if it's not Kalisha West,
yeah,
it's wrong.
you know, it's all wrong. So, those I don't like to call out girls, but you girls know who you are. You know who you are. It's in black and white in
It's
the
the
rankings.
same ones that say no every time we call.
Yeah, it's like they know Daddy's gonna make a phone call when
Who,
Dad.
Alicia West?
when-
No, not yet. No,
when,
no.
When Daddy make that phone call, it's like the red bat phone. It's like a bat call, you know.
There you go.
Bat signals
The
up.
same
Boom.
ones I slid in your promoter's DM on Twitter and he didn't reply.
Yeah.
Pretending like he didn't see it.
So it's no need to say no names. They know who they are. Just
Yeah. They have the bell.
His name calling is kind of
It is.
low and cheesy, you know. We like to try to stay classy, but if
Stay
you look in
classy.
the rankings, okay, the rankings, BoxRec or womensboxing.com, look at those top 7. They don't belong there, okay?
I think he's on there now.
I was looking.
Yeah, look, he's
That's
Google
how
the
much.
names.
That's how much the female
in the
boxing needs to have
126 or
some
the
popularity.
122.
What was that
All right,
website
you
again?
126.
Kalisha Wan,
She can fight
thank you
either way
so
class.
much for joining us.
Thanks so
We
much.
are closing our show now,
All right.
so thank you so
Thank
much.
Thank you guys for coming in
having
and
us.
stepping
Fans
into the
supporting
studio
women's
today.
All right.
Make sure you guys do come to this premiere. Definitely support amateur boxing and this movie screening as well. Stay tuned for the rest of the Sunday Squad with Boogie.
Sunday Squad?
Sunday Squad.
Sunday
Yes,
Squad.
he'll be coming up right now from 2 to 3. And make sure you stop by Quick Stop Tires. Please do so for us. I want to thank everyone that came onto the show today and my co-hosts, Anthony and Chris. So we will be back next week. We'll have Julius Jackson calling in next weekend, and then also a local Joseph Landeros is going to be in studio. So be sure to stay tuned next Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM.